Hey, so apparently we're live now, which, all right. So if you're a regular stream viewer, you probably saw that we tried to start the stream like we do normally, usually half an hour before the stream actually starts, except I didn't know that YouTube reconfigured the live stream software. So what happens is they remove the start stream now button, which was great. But whenever your streaming software starts, which is what we've done for a while. So we do that traditionally. What we've done, start the stream half an hour ahead of before when the stream actually starts, so that the Jeromes can get in there, chat, as well as it's a good test for us because we run the OBS software just to make sure that everything's streaming, everything's going well. But now, like, YouTube apparently just took away the go live button. So now whenever you start your streaming software, it just goes. So I didn't know that. So the drums probably, if you checked out the first stream, you probably got the audio. You didn't get the video. You got the audio of our video for tomorrow morning about why PJ Hall failed with the Raiders. So that'd be good. But we're back. We figured it out. Hopefully you're migrating over to the actual stream. So that should be pretty good. So, hey, thanks for coming along. It's a good Tuesday out there. Sun shining. Weather's getting cold. I am a big cold weather proponent. Now, Minnesota weather can certainly get can get after it. You know, I think the fact that we're spoiled. So the wife, stay-at-home mom. I do all my work from home, so we don't have to deal with the commute. Now, if one of us was still commuting, I could see why it would be such a B in the winter. But I feel like whenever we get walloped with a big snowstorm, it's like, hey, another excuse not to go anywhere besides the Rona, as well as now we can just stay in and make chili or smoke some ribs. And also, so I'm vamping for a couple minutes as we want to do because I want to make sure that people actually like transfer over. God. So the smokers. So you look at like Green Mountain or a Traeger or whatever. Like they'll try and upsell you on like some winter warmers to put around the smoker, but it's electric smoker. Don't believe the temperature that you set it at. Get an internal thermometer that you put inside the cooking chamber, and you'll be fine there. All right, so we're gonna get on with the live stream. Hopefully things are good to go. Man, it's such a weird day. Anyways, first up, Preacher Paul, hauling it for all y'all. Glad you got some time away, even if the NFL was blowing up. Nonetheless, glad you're back. As part of my driving job, I have the routine, and everything was nuts. Not really welcome back. I have to admit, I did enjoy the production value, which is cool too. We get some nice messages now and then. You know, people, the stream, big part of your day, and we say that pretty much every day. Thank you very much for making us part of your day. Lots of options, lots of content choices out there. Thank you for making us one of them. It's great. Next up, Landon Miller. Have you ever thought about making a Discord for your channel or for Football News Today? We've thought about it. I haven't gone through with it, which even though we probably should, because I've been lazy and I haven't even passed it on to producer Allie. Should probably do that. Or if someone wants to set one up, we'll take it. Number 2, why don't we see exotic formations from the Vikings, monster, wildcat, or even more trick plays? Thielen can throw pretty well. I think what it is that Zimmer's just a traditionalist, even though you would think as a defense coordinator, the occasional trick play or the occasional just interesting wrinkle that you have to prepare for would drive you nuts. But I don't know. Ever since, well, I'm trying to think like the last. So 2013, Cordero's rookie year, towards the end of the year, Bill Musgrave. I feel like towards the end of the season, Bill Musgrave like knew he was gonna get fired. So I don't know. Maybe just started showing up and going YOLO. Maybe he drank before the game. I don't know. But there was a couple of towards the end of the year, they're just trying to get Cordero the ball any way possible. They're just trying to manufacture offense. So they just line up in the backfield, usually I formation, to just give them the ball on a sweep. There was a couple of them where it was pretty clear after watching the All-22 that, as well as the way that Patterson was looking downfield, that there was run pass options thrown in there. So Cordero would get pitched the ball. He could run, of course, or if he was open downfield, like he could throw it, which is great. But also, Jerick McKinnon was a triple option quarterback at Georgia Southern. Now, triple option, you don't throw the ball much anyway, but he can still throw the ball. I don't know why the Vikings didn't take advantage of that. It would be nice. It definitely is fun. Definitely is more of a fan favorite. But I don't know. They did run Wildcat to a degree with McKinnon, but that's really about it. Number 3, who is Jerome? Jerome's replacement. I think it's going to be a combination of Troy Dye, and the linebacker Troy Dye, safety Brian Cole, and maybe Harrison Hand thrown in there. It's going to take a village. Vikings fan 12. Will PJ Hall be able to replace Joseph Talent? Well, they're two separate players. Linval is a true blue 4-3 nose tackle, just completely absorbing the world. PJ Hall, he's a bit like Armon Watts, where he's a 3-tech, but also can moonlight as a 1-tech at the nose to a degree. So Pierce was a perfect replacement for Linval. There isn't a perfect replacement for Pierce on the Vikings roster. I think Jaleel Johnson might be the closest, but no. Next up, Omar Max. Are you planning on having another kid like a boy so you can teach him how to love football just like his dad? Well, we do have a boy, and if he likes football, great. If he doesn't, well. That's pretty much my opinion about a lot of things. So I don't really have like a set philosophy of parenting, but I do know that I don't want to force my kid to participate or be interested in things that just interest me. So, because that is a surefire way to make sure that kids hate things. So I'm definitely going to, involve kids in things that I'm interested in, as well as pursue things that they show an interest in, and just sort of go from there. So we got the boy, we got the girl. We'll watch football together. We'll take them to some baseball games. We'll see if they want to train jiu-jitsu or taekwondo, or we'll get them into hunting and fishing and camping. The daughter loves camping, by the way, which you would not expect, because she is definitely like a girl's girl, but she loves camping. Also, she was so excited. So the first day there, caught a bunch of northerns, and we're just cleaning them up. And she was so excited, like she wanted to go watch me cut up the fish. And then because I would think like you would lose a lot of money if you would wager if my daughter would be grossed out by fish being cut up. But she's like, no, like she watched the whole thing. Like I wouldn't say that it was like perverse, where she's like, yeah. But it was more like, oh, well, they're food now. There you go. As well as, so we went through, because she was really interested. She wanted to go through like a diorama project and just see like all the guts and stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, that's the gut, that's the gills, that's the heart, that's the whatever. It's just crazy. But yeah. Next up, and if the kids don't like football, I don't really care. Yeah. Pulford Skull. What happens with the replacement players who come in and play lights out? They get the job. Someone opts out and a rookie comes in, kills out their position, season starts, and someone gets COVID, and the replacement is better. A rookie comes in for Pierce and wins the job. What do you do with that player and their contract next year? It's going to happen, and I'm really curious. If they got guaranteed money, or if they have a big dead cap number, they're going to be back. Like Pierce. Actually, let's look at Pierce's contract. Because Pierce is going to have a job next year. I don't really expect anyone to come in and blow the doors off the roof. All right, so $18 million total guaranteed. They would have. All right, so they haven't shifted the numbers completely. Well, yeah. So that $3 million cap number, that can't be right. Yeah, Pierce will be back. Basically, if a player opts out, and they don't have a lot of guaranteed money, they don't have a big dead cap number, they do need to be worried. And I think that's something that players had to factor in. Westworld. Rewatching your pre-draft cornerback videos, you seem to not put enough respect on Gladney's name and omitted the needle. What say you? I like Gladney. I liked Jalen Johnson better. What were my tiers? Yeah, I'll admit I did write Cameron Dantzler off after the combine just because of the slow numbers, but of course he was dealing with the injury, didn't really rebound. I mean, there's so much going on with the COVID. I didn't even register. Well, I knew he ran faster at his pro day, but yeah. But yeah, I was enamored with, so Okudah was 1, Henderson was 2, and then there was like a third tier that had Jalen Johnson, had Gladney, had Fulton, had Terrell in there. Don't think I had Igbenegene that high. But I'm happy with who they got. It's like one of those things too. Like I wasn't the biggest Justin Jefferson fan in the world specifically for the Vikings, but since he's here, like I'm gonna root my ass off for him. It's like the worst kind of people who actively root for a player on your own team to fail because you didn't want him. It's like, the people who. So I was still skeptical about Kirk Cousins and always will be, but there are some people who actively root for Kirk Cousins to fail. Which, I mean, what are you doing, man? Why? Like, if I was one of those turd nuggets, I would actively be rooting for Justin Jefferson to fail, just so I can prove that I was right. Now, I am actively rooting for Jalen Reagor to do well, except for against the Vikings, just so I can be like, aha, I was in on that guy. Off-ball king. Thoughts on signing Thor Bjornsson as a Michael Pierce replacement or as a Riley Reef replacement? Is that the mountain? Well, he wouldn't pass a PED test, that's for sure. Even an NFL one where it's like, hey, you do PEDs? All right. Now, also he's old, isn't he? Oh, he's only 31. But he actually may be too tall. All right, so he's 6'9", 452 pounds. I actually do wonder about his cardio. All right. Obviously would not have an issue anchoring, but I wonder if he would have an issue with leverage, because at a certain point you can be too tall for football. So Nate Solder, I believe, is 6'9". Once tackles get above 6'5", I feel like their center of gravity gets too high, so that edge rushers can just duck under them, as well as especially in the trenches. Low man wins there every single time. So, hey, because that was one of the issues with Lesnar too. Brock Lesnar. Besides, how tall is Brock Lesnar? He's 6'6", isn't he? 6'3". So maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. Well, besides Lesnar's lack of experience playing football, that was it. Because if you remember watching clips of him, he plays a little bit too upright. But next up is Big Rover. After watching extensive film, YouTube highlights of Justin Jefferson and other top receivers in the draft, I think we nailed it with the pick. I was a bigger fan of Ayuk and Reagor before the draft, but now I'm going full homer. Jefferson, rest of 2020 receiver class goal. Well, he's going to get the work. He will step in right away as the Vikings wide receiver too. And I do think that Jefferson, if Kubiak uses him right, will become a huge asset over the middle of the field. I think he'll become Kirk Cousins' BFF. Like, remember what Kirk Cousins did in Washington with Jameson Crowder, just working the middle of the field. Jefferson can do that in spades, as well as Jefferson does have some yards after catch ability. Like, he'll turn, a 5-yard crossing pattern, turn it up to a 45-yard gain, no problem. Pretty excited about that. Let's hear. Let us know where you're watching from and give a couple of shout outs. Such a weird day. I mean, YouTube just changing things up. Next up is Brandon Gowden Football League. What is the one player the Vikings passed on in any draft that haunts your dreams? They passed on Aaron Donald, didn't they? Pretty sure they did. It's a 2014 draft. Yeah, they took Barr. I mean, in fairness, a lot of teams passed over Aaron Donald. But how'd you feel, like, even Houston, like, taking Clowney, even though that was, well, Clowney was coming off a microfracture, so I don't know. But how do you feel like you're the Rams? So the Rams got this treasure trove of picks from the RG3 trade, and they turned it into absolutely nothing. They got Greg Robinson, great. Or Blake Bordelais. Sammy Watkins, he's a fine wide receiver 3, but taking him 4 overall. Mack, Matthews, Deese, Evans, okay. Gilbert, heh. I like Anthony Barr a lot more than most fans, but I mean, nah. Well, the fact that also the Lions are in the same boat, taking Eric Ebron, where he had this beautiful run. So Taylor Lewan is one of the best tackles in the game. OBJ, of course. Aaron Donald. Got Zach Martin in here. Man. That's rough. All right, so I guess besides revisionist history, 05 passing on Aaron Rodgers twice, even though 2004 Dante was basically, I think he was second in league MVP voting. But, next up is Viking Jerome. You think this 2 defensive coordinator system will work this season, and how? Well, it's basically just title, because Zimmer is still the defensive coordinator. He's still calling plays. He's still overseeing everything. I think that he won't hurt as much, mainly because you won't get this officially, but I could see Zimmer the Younger and Andre Patterson divvying up. Like, one is a passing game coordinator, one is the run game coordinator, like you see in college football quite a bit. So just divvying up duties, and also just having a fresh set of eyeballs in there, because I like George Edwards. I think he was a perfectly fine rubber stamp, but sometimes a little bit of freshening doesn't hurt anyone. Plus, it's a long overdue promotion for Andre Patterson. Plus, also, I think it puts Adam Zimmer on a track to eventually become a play calling defense coordinator, probably with Mike Zimmer, and then potentially become a head coach in his own right down the line. I think that he does have the chops to do that. Next up is Spencer Vaux. Do you think Jake Browning will make the 53-man rooster, or at bare minimum land on the practice squad again this year? Yes. I think the Vikings, it would behoove them to carry 3 quarterbacks on the roster, as well as 1 more on the practice squad. So Browning, or one of those 4. RubeTube review. If there was any movie about any Vikings quarterback, who would you want to be on? Joe Kapp. Joe freaking Kapp, man. The Mexican who played in the CFL, who found glory in the United States with the 1969 Minnesota Fighting Vikings. The hard fighting, hard drinking, hard womanizing Joe freaking Kapp. He was the best. Actually, I think we can show this, otherwise when we kicked off. Let's see. Joe Kapp fight. I mean, because you can talk about Tarkington till the cows come home. Now, give me Joe Kapp. So this was 8 years ago, 2011 Alumni Legends Luncheon in Vancouver. So, all right, so Joe Kapp. Apparently, this is they had beef from way back in the day, and the beef had not died. I don't want the unedited one. Just don't show me. I want the labor to show me the baby. All right, so that's Joe Kapp standing up there, tall guy in the khaki. This is the dude he's got beef with. Oh, words are exchanged. Actually, turn this on. Oh, they're swinging. Oh, they're going at it. Oh, the Walker to the face. He almost went Walker Texas Ranger to the face. It's amazing. No, so Joe Kapp. Well, first off, I think they're both at fault here. So Joe Kapp is, even though he's old himself, he's assaulting an elderly, clearly handicapped man, right? But then the elderly, clearly handicapped man, watch this left when he swings this. Wah! I mean, if this connects, Joe Kapp dies. Wah! Well, he knocks his glasses off. I mean, that's a good job by Joe Kapp managing the distance. Like, he knows. and if people didn't intervene, like, that was going down. That was going down to Chinatown. That was going to the death. It was good. All right, so let's see here. All right, so I'm taking Joe Kapp. I mean, look at that dude. Also, Joe Kapp was the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for 7 touchdowns before Peyton and the Broncos, before he died, put up 7 touchdowns. It's great. All right, so still trying to figure out the stream here. All right. A couple shout outs. Preacher Paul, hauling up for all y'all, checking in from Macon, Georgia. Purple Rain from Wausau, Wisconsin. Davis Warrow, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. There's a movie called Cedar Rapids with Ed Helms. I don't remember if it was any good. Probably wasn't. Here. Landon Miller Skull from Montclair, New Jersey. Bear territory. Not like Chicago Bears, but like actual Bears. Ben Niedenfuhr, Skull from Breckenridge. What is up? Stanley Morrow, Skull from Scranton, PA. Love ya. It's good times. Jake Volk, Skull from Highlands Ranch. What's going on? Jason Saz, Skull from Mankato, home of Mankato State University Community College. Sean Karan, Crystal Falls, Michigan. Rayshawn Ivory's back. What is up? Skull from St. Paul. What's going on? Ex-Wolves, Maple Grove. Oh, so if you're new to the channel or if you're not in on the bit, so the reason I call it Mankato State to begin with, as well as Mankato State Community College, is because I went to Winona State, and Winona State and Mankato State are rivals. That's all. Like, no animosity to the great city of Mankato. Mankato's a really fun town. Mankato is a full-on, phenomenal, really fun college town. I miss that training camp isn't down there anymore. It basically was like summer camp. It was just nice to get away and just that. I have a story about public urination, but I believe the statute of limitations has not passed yet. So there you go. Desk fan man Skull from Khabib, Russia. There you go. Dodd Skull from Vegas. Boris the Piper Skull from Finland. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming along on the live stream. Well, ladies as well. You get the occasional female viewer. It's great. Next up is Nick Doroff. Which member of the Minnesota Vikings roster coaching staff most likely created a sex tape in college? Kirk Cousins. Nah. Who? Man, well, Michael Pierce is the easy answer. Mainly because he's my answer for everything, so maybe I should come up with a new one. I don't know. Skullquit? Skullquit looks like he could get down. That's probably about it. Or coaching staff. I don't know. Well, Kubiak back in the day. Nah. Brian Cugin. When will NFL get an XFL team, and what would the name be? Minneapolis Miracles. I feel like it has to be something drinking related. Minnesota Busch drinkers slap that logo on the jerseys and get a major sponsor deal. Tell me those jerseys wouldn't sell. Well, I think it'd have to be Mick Golden Light, because Minnesota has this weird thing. All right, so Minnesota, we do love some Michelob Golden Light here, and it's weird because it's a regional beer, right? And it's actually, what is the region? And it really is hard to explain because, all right, so Upper Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota, currently sold in 7 states other than Minnesota. Yeah, but it's really hard to explain because good luck going to like Texas or the East Coast or California trying to find a Mick Golden Light. So that's why Minnesotans don't go on vacation, because they can't get their beer with them, right? But I don't know what. Also, I remember when Mick Golden, they had the ridged cans. So like, you know how the bottle, it has ridges around. It used to be like that in the cans until they realized that they could probably save 0.001 cent if they just went with the smooth can. So they did that. I should go back to that. And it's a perfectly fine domestic light beer. It's great for a hot day, and it's the prime meridian of like okay beer. There you go. Next up is Charlie Boltman. I'm not a CBA expert or how it pertains to league expansion, but am I crazy for thinking the 2021 or 2022 season are a perfect time to expand to 34 teams? A larger free agent pool. Salary cap drop. Teams eat dead cap. Additional revenue from 34 additional games. Cities look to bolster economy. All those points make some sense, but also you look at quarterback play around the league and thin that out even more. Nah. But I would put a team. I think Texas is oversaturated. OKC would make sense. St. Louis would make sense. Detroit's been wanting a football team for years. Salt Lake, I do like that idea. I think Portland has too much crossover with the Seahawks. There you go. Brett Vuvuzelis. What does it mean to sign a futures contract? So, offseason, when teams go from their 53-man roster and practice squad to a 90-man roster, they'll often sign players to futures contracts. Now, a lot of them are not guaranteed. Some of them have a small signing bonus, but basically just squatting on their 90-man rights. So what it is, it's some free agents as well as usually guys that are on your practice squad or in the practice squad sphere. They get a futures contract. So there you go. Marquise Govan. I have a question about Justin Jefferson. He's still on the COVID-19 list, but he posted a video on Instagram of his locker like he was in the building. So why not he off the COVID-19 list, but Barr and Fadi is? That's a good question. It may have been an older video since he's been in the building longer. Because you can do that with stories. Unless it was like Instagram Live, then we'd have some questions. But guys will come off the list at different times. And frankly, I think it's fine as of right now. I think you're never going to know if it was a positive test or just a precautionary quarantine. But it's pretty clear that. So Blake Brandel was on there for 4 days. Barr was on there 4 days. Afadi 5. So that was probably just contact tracing. But who knows? Maybe they're just being overly cautious. Maybe Jefferson hasn't retested negative the multiple times or requisite number of times yet. I don't know. Brian Kayukin. Could and should we sign Clowney with the extra cap space? I feel like Sheldon Richardson signing was underwhelming. And I'm not sure Clowney would be any different. You can't deny his run-stopping ability, which we clearly need. Trigger Green Bay and San Francisco flashbacks. Well, the problem is, so Clowney, he's perfectly fine against the run. He's never had a double-digit sack season. He's not that particularly good of an edge rusher. He isn't. But also, it's kind of like a square peg in a round hole. So signing Clowney, he's probably best suited as a 5-tech, even though Seattle used him as a 3-tech in their 4-3 under. Use him at Leo sometime too. So I don't know where he'd fit necessarily, even though, we've talked about players over scheme. Make your scheme fit the players, just put him wherever. But also, I don't know if Clowney's going to be worth the price tag. Like, I like him. I don't love him. I'd rather have Everson at 7 than Clowney at 12. If that makes sense. Even though I don't even know if you can sign him for 12. Let's see. That's it. Sean Caron, being from Michigan, can you try pronouncing KJ Osborne's hometown again? Escalante. Close enough. Jake Volksgo from Little St. James. What's going on? There you go. Bawataba. Thoughts on Gary Patterson's situation? All right, so I'm vaguely familiar with what's going on. So a player came out on social media and accused TCU coach Gary Patterson of using the N-word. Now, there was some context in there where, so apparently the player would say the N-word a lot, and then Gary Patterson apparently went to him and said, hey, stop using the N-word, but actually said it. So in that context, it is different of using it in that context as opposed to like straight up calling the player the N-word. But should he have done it? No. I know that a bunch of players have come to his defense. They got his back, and Patterson's publicly apologized. But I mean, if that is the true story, it's certainly not as inflammatory as it was initially reported, or skewed by how the player retold the story. But also, you can't do that. I mean, if it's a gray area of if you should use the N-word, you should probably just not use the N-word, even in that context, right? It's like it's almost the equivalent of Gary Patterson like singing along to like like I don't know, like a Kendrick Lamar song or some really good rapper hip hop song, and then you get to the part where the N word is in the song, but then you say it. Probably shouldn't say it. No, it's just like that. LT87 Goat. Will the Vikings re-sign Kirk? I think this was asked yesterday. I think they will. Oh boy. Stanley Maros. Who's winning in a fight, Mr. Peanut or Pringles Man? Who's the Pringles Man? Oh, the Pringle. Oh, the mustache dude. I don't even think he has arms. I like the Pringles dude definitely like gets into it like old time boxing, like boxing when it's like this. Yeah, so maybe the Pringles dude gets it. I don't know. Mr. Peanut is too spindly. Although maybe he's spindly like Nate Diaz spindly, maybe. Yeah. But if I had to pick, yeah, I'll go Mr. Peanut. He's got a weapon. Jason Sage, what's your favorite Vikings uniform? Vikings. This is just so great. I mean, you really can't do better than these. Or so yeah, Everson just rocking these throwbacks. These are great. So I like these for home. There's some really good. If we had like a good example, so remember these jerseys? They're like the aughts of late '90s, early aughts for the Vikings. There was a. It's gonna be hard to find. There was a great photo edit of Thielen and Diggs in these. Here it is. There you go. All right, so. Yeah, the photo edit back that actually looked like LSU, but no, the gray face mask, clean cut lines, the block formatting, font. That's good. That's good. Next up is Josh Newman. Do you think one of the Vikings rookie corners will turn to a full shutdown corner in the years to come? I like Gladney. I really love Cameron Dantzler. I think Dantzler has. I think Gladney might have a higher floor, but Dantzler has the far higher ceiling just because of his size as well as his youth. Eric Hansen. What are the possible repercussions of NFL referees opting out for the season? Will that put a major ding in the Packers win column? P.S. With extra cap space freed up, the Vikings need to resign Everson, just my opinion. I mean, they certainly have that option, but also I do think that Everson... I don't think Everson will be on a roster week 1. So maybe that's something that the Vikings are waiting out. Just approach him after week 1 is passed, where contracts aren't guaranteed. It's like, all right, this is what we're offering. Take it or leave it. Hunter Williams, Skull from Coon Rapids, what up? Have you been watching the Twins? Who is the new man on the Minnesota Vikings? Oh, I've been watching the Twins. I haven't been watching, even though I've been so starved for baseball. Just been busy. Just working. Content. Getting outside. But yeah, they are doing well, which is great. I'll watch when the playoffs come in. Vikings go, Twins go 58-2 and then get swept by the Yankees in the ALDS, of course. Who is the new man on the Minnesota Vikings? So that's a Lizzo reference, right? Austin Cutting. Your boy Bill Nye. Why haven't they signed a guard or Logan Ryan? I don't know. Spielman's too busy celebrating his extension or trying to get the Dalvin Cook deal done. Luke K, do you think there should be more Chick-fil-A's in Minnesota? Also, did you hear about 7-Elevens taking over Speedways? Did not hear about 7-Elevens taking over Speedways. Now, it was kind of confusing as a kid growing up before the internet age where all the cartoons, all the movies reference 7-Elevens, and you're like, huh? Oh, you mean like a Quick Trip or a Super America or a Speedway? Yeah, or a Holiday, those things, or a Sinclair, yeah, or what else? A Conoco, or a Cenex, or a Casey's if you live in southern Minnesota. More Chick-fil-A's. I don't think they do need more Chick-fil-A's because I feel like part of the allure is that it's always busy. Like Going to a restaurant that's never busy, it's almost like a self-perpetuating thing where if you see a busy restaurant, like you understand that people like it, they love it, they want some more of it, so you want to get on some of that as well. Like you notice that Chick-fil-A as well as Raising Cane's, like even before the pandemic, like their drive-thrus are always packed, right? So I don't think they need more Chick-fil-A's because yeah, you could wait for your chicken sandwich. It's good. As well as like dining in a Chick-fil-A. The Dart actually loves that because it's always busy. I don't know why. I'm not a big crowds person, but the daughter is. There you go. Next up is Andy Maxfield. Doogie said Everson, the Vikings are way off on contract discussion. Seems odd. No. Well, Doogie source, probably the agent, Brian Murphy. Doogie and Brian Murphy go way back like chiroprac. So, I mean, of course, if you're the agent, you're going to say that you're far apart. Maybe a bit of leverage. Okay. But also, as days pass, Everson's market is drying up more and more. Brian Kayukin. Should the NFL make games Sunday only so everyone has equal time to rest? And can you can minimize games missed due to the 10-day Rona quarantine? Meh. I like Thursday Night Football. I like Sunday Night Football. Like Monday Night Football. Actually, they should just do games every day. Figure out a rotation. I mean, the MAC could figure it out. Having MACtion on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Come on. Luke Zacher. Who's better, prime Jared Allen or current Danielle Hunter? Prime Jared Allen was a bad man. Now, I think Hunter could easily reach those heights, but PFR Jared. Like absolute prime Jared Allen was borderline unblockable. He just was. All right, so prime Jared Allen popping out 22. Like this stretch from 07 to 2012, he was just the man. Yeah, I would pull PFF up to look up pressures because they started counting in 06, but I don't know. I just feel weird about like showing off since it's a paid service. I don't know. Yeah, man. When like Jared Allen was here for a couple of lean seasons, and like sometimes he was the only reason to watch, especially 2011. Jack Thomas Vanasek, who we got winning the World Series? Twins over Nationals. Yeah. Gage Sandin, what happened to David Morgan? Injured, free agent, might be done. It's really sad. Really enjoyed David Morgan. Kyle Rippentrop, do you think there will be a college or high school football season? Well, so 35 states are moving ahead with college football, or high school football, yes. College football, and I said this at the beginning, so there are some fans and some media members who are actively rooting for sports not to happen, mainly because it aligns with their political point of view. So they value their politics even more than sports, even though if you objectively look at the data, but so they were dancing and hooting and hollering when like the Patriot League or like these smaller offshoot divisions and conferences were canceling football. It's like but the Power 5 conferences, some of the other FCS conferences, we're never going to cancel football because there's too much money at stake. Like all these nonprofits, they need these billions of dollars that roll in every single year. So SEC was always going to play football. Pac-12 was always going to play football. Same thing with Big 12, ACC, with Notre Dame. Everything was going to work out, right? And the Big 10, like there's going to be football. Same thing with the NFL. Right? It's the phrase "too big to fail." There's literally too much money for it not to work out. Right. Next up. Jangle Popcheck. Would the 09 Vikings have been notably better if they kept veterans Burke, Sharper, and Richardson on the roster, or were they declining too much to keep around? All right, so Richardson, Richardson was getting a little bit long in the tooth, plus Tahi was a fine fullback, except for the 12-man thing. Sharper, they could have kept Matt Burke, although John Sullivan was certainly revved up, ready to go. And the guards were Hutch and Herrera. Yeah. I mean, Burke obviously had something left. He made the Super Bowl with the Ravens, or won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. So I guess of the three, Burke was the only one I would have kept around in some capacity. Brett Vuvuzelas. And do you think PH Hall will start? I think he'll at least get starter level reps. So he'll play 50-60% of the snaps. I think he'll be out there. Skull Zone. Will Tajay Sharp have a role in the Vikings offense, or will he mainly be a backup? I think he'll have a shot because, Jefferson's sort of penciled in as wide receiver 2. BC Johnson's been in the system year 2. So I think that they'll certainly get their licks. But, Tajay, he'll be out there. Plus, you never know with the Rona. Danielle Langren. How do you know that PJ Hall is going to be with the Vikings? Try that again. How do you think that PJ Hall is going to be with the Vikings, and do you think he will be good in purple and yellow? Well, we just did the film breakdown. That'll be out later this afternoon. There are just some raw physical skills that, you talk about being uncoachable. Like, his closing speed is legit. He does have some quickness to him. His hand, he does need to work on hands as well as playing with a little bit of leverage. That's where coaching comes in. That's where Andre Patterson comes in. But also just raw strength. Like his half sack last season against the Chiefs, where he just bench pressed Laurent Duvernay Tarif, the doctor who opted out, and who's a good guard, by the way, just pushed him straight back into Mahomes. There's a myriad of reasons why things didn't work out. Things don't work out with the Raiders. Some of it is on the Raiders. So a lot of it's on PJ Hall. The term work ethic gets tossed around a lot, but man, if Patterson and Zimmer light a fire under his ass, the kid does have a lot of physical skills and talent, and it could work out. Next up, Desk Fan Man. Outside of the division, which team do you hate the most? Saints. The Eagles are my pick. They've been toxic AF since 38-7. Beating them twice. The Eagles fans bother me a little bit less, mainly because the Vikings completely blew that game. That's on them. Saints fans are the worst. Oh, Bills fans are starting to get on my last damn nerve because they just discovered the internet. Charlie Boltman. Not only was Terrell Buckley great in his own right, but he had the luxury of sharing a defensive back room with Ty Law, Sam Madison, Patrick Surtain, Donnie Abraham, Ray Crockett, Lauren Malloy, Sammy Knight, Brock Marion, Leroy Butler. This is the guy who's been molding Dantzler for the last 3 years. Can you imagine the knowledge he's passed on to him? Wouldn't shock me if Zimmer is actually a downgrade from his previous DB coach. Ooh. For the record, the list of players accounted for 26 Pro Bowls, 10 All-Pro appearances, and 11 Super Bowl rings. It's a murderer's row. Good hype. Yeah, because Buckley played on the Patriots. I think he played in the 96 Super Bowl. Then he was on the Dolphins. Was he with the Packers? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Lastly, how many seasons does Odell Beckham Jr. have before the NFL cancels him? I don't think he comments to the Wall Street Journal can be taken lightly by NFL owners. Does he need to readdress these comments if he doesn't opt out? Personally, I think well, I think part of it is OBJ is always one to talk shit, as well as Wall Street Journal is obviously going to latch on to, maybe it was like a flippant out of context remark. Well, actually reading the comment, it's really hard to take it a different direction, but obviously they want to press down on that because they want to bash sports leagues. They want to bash the NFL. OBJ is always going to have a job as long as he's talented. When he's not, he won't. All right. But it seems just very empty, hollow virtue signaling that OBJ is like, oh, it shouldn't be a season. Should be a season. Should be this. Should be that. You're gonna opt out? Nope. Not turn down my salary. Shit. So it's just like whatever. All right. So that's it. That's the live stream for the day. Thank you very much for coming along and putting up with shenanigans. Hopefully we'll have this technology figured out as YouTube changed things around. If you want to support the work, pull some of the Venmo, you know what to do, as well as the first line in the description. It's a link to our other channel, Football News Today, talking about, Rashad Bateman. We didn't even get to Rashad Bateman opting out of the 2020 football season. Still going to be a first-round pick. Absolute stud. Probably the best player in the Big Ten besides Justin Fields. Okay. I think you can make that a legit case, offensively at least. But do that up. We'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Skol.